Hey guys, how's it going? Just wanted to do a follow-up video to a previous one where I showed you how you can optimize your product page. So in this one, I'm gonna focus on the cart, slide out cart and regular view cart. So there are usually two different options or a combination. Brands would normally have either a slide out cart, which is a more modern and functional option, or they would have the view cart where you basically, in example of Nikes, you would just go ahead and be able to go to that view cart option. Both are good. In my opinion, I prefer the slide out cart more, but I also do prefer the full cart. So ideally a combination of two is the winner, but of course it is ultimately up to your business decision. I just wanted to give you some tips of essentially what you want to model. I would honestly just go ahead with the best brands. So with Gymshark, you really can't go wrong. They kind of nailed the whole thing. So we can just go ahead, even before you have anything in your cart. They already have the incentive to send you back to the collection page to shop men's or women's. You also basically have, if you had any of the wish lists right here. And let's just go ahead and add a product. So first thing that you want to make sure is that the font size is optimized, that there is no use of unnecessary white space, because that can be the biggest problem, where I can see that the brands have literally the add to cart or plus products literally all the way down below. And then you can imagine how that looks on mobile. You basically want to have that as concise as possible. You want to make it clear that the user can add or reduce the quantity. You definitely want to have some sort of the upsells. Now, there are some themes that support that natively, so I would advise selecting some of those themes. But if not, you can have your developer code that in. It is not as complex, and the upside is huge. Personally, when I'm like on a shopping spree, when I add something and especially the price is good, I would just go ahead and add in a couple of those upsells that they're offering. So if you don't have those, you really are losing a lot on the average order value that we covered before, but you definitely want to have those in cart as well. Nice feature to have a discount code as well, of course, if applicable, and you definitely want to showcase the shipping and be upfront about that. There is also where a lot of users would essentially not go through with the checkout just because you're not transparent about the shipping. Here is one of the new ones. I mean, it's not right now as new, but still a lot of stores are not utilizing that, and that is the gamification feature, where you essentially want to show the user some sort of interactive way on what they can unlock by buying more. Usual ones are free shipping, such as this one. Also, you can sometimes get a free gift, like for example you would get like a small add-on. Usually would get that with like supplements brand or similar, food consumption brands, where you would actually be able to get like a free consumable, and it always definitely is incentive for users to buy more. And just like the whole experience looks really and feels professional, it makes me feel like I'm buying from Nike or any other store, and it's very credible. And of course, in the case of Gymshark, they only went ahead with a slide out cart, which I personally think it's really it's definitely fine. You don't even need to have the view cart. But sometimes I prefer, if I kind of buy a lot of items, to kind of view them all at once. And there, for example, in example of Nikes, this is like a really nice view. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that even for this, you definitely can add in and code in the you may also like or any other relevant upsell. You definitely don't want to have them just like dry, having literally just the items and that's it, because you're definitely losing a lot. You can still have upsells, discount code is a good one, or any other incentive. Now I also wanted to quickly show you briefly I would say a bit of a poor example in my experience. Now, Nike can get away with, of course, not using the slide out cart at all, just because they're Nike, right? their essentially brand sells them. So they even don't necessarily need to have a lot of like even the best user experience, but still they would, get the sales just because they're very credible and then everything just works. But if you are having the slide out cart, have it done properly, right? So this is an example. I don't have nothing about against the brand. I don't even know the brand, but I just took it as an example. So they have the condition where when you hover over, you kind of have this shopping cart, and this is my opinion, not ideal. You basically want to have it like open, or I want to click there to have it like stay opened, because otherwise, yeah, it's just not ideal. And then they have the button to go to cart and go to checkout. That's not a problem, but this is like so unutilized when I see brands just having this vague pop-up, and yeah, it just doesn't make sense where you could cash in on something like Gymshark, where you can have the upsells, the gamification, any other additional offers. That is definitely better. We can also see an example of this Spanx brand. They have really doubled down on the upsells. They have 2 different carousels for the upsells, and in my opinion, it's really great. It like makes you, you don't have to worry about going back to look for similar items if they have a really good AI algorithm. If they're, for example, using rebuy, which you can use for in-cart recommendations, they're definitely really, really good. And, you would get really accurate results here. So those would be my suggestions. You definitely want to make sure that the mobile works well as well and that it is responsive. For example, Gymshark, very excellent like work done. You can really see everything. Right here, it's concise and clear. An example of this brand, it is unfortunate, but I guess they're pretty much like targeting mostly desktop users, or they're just not aware of it. But for example, when you go to cart, as you can see, they do not have any of the upsells or nothing really. And then when you go to the mobile view, they pretty much like have it just as a desktop, just like cramped up. So this is not ideal. Maybe it's not showing in my browser. I would have to check, but it definitely does not look responsive to me. And you can basically see where you're losing a lot of audience here potentially. So that's it. That's my those would be my quick suggestions. I would definitely say you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just look at the top competitors in your industry, see what they're doing. If you want to cut down on costs, just pick a native theme. And if you want to, engage a developer, you can essentially do that to get the results. And make sure that you have your tracking set up, like heat maps, Google Analytics, so that later you can actually see the difference. If the users are, engaging more, if there are more drop-offs, you can also do A/B tests for that and see what performs better. So yeah, anyways, gotta run now, but I will see you in the next one. Thanks, bye.